Big question here on Morning Kicker on Monday morning on April 7th. Over the weekend in sports, a record that has held my entire life
Yeah.
fell. A record that
Yes.
seemed unbeatable was undone. Wayne Gretzky, the greatest of all time in ice hockey, his record was caught and surpassed by Ovechkin over the weekend, which led me to think in Major League Soccer, there is a big record that also seems like it's unreachable. Chris Wondolowski, 171 Major League Soccer goals. So, is Wondolowski the Gretzky, and can he ever be caught? I never thought Gretzky would be caught, but here we are.
There's different reasons. If Chris Wondolowski cannot be caught, it's for different reasons than you might have thought that Wayne Gretzky would never be caught by anybody until Alexander Ovechkin came along.
Like anything in American soccer, there's variables and caveats.
Absolutely. I mean, there is. Look, I know the Russian league is pretty decent, and there's some other places to play hockey, but the best hockey players in the world end up in the NHL. That's where they go. That's where they want to play. So we're always going to have a battle over time to see if anybody can do what now Alexander Ovechkin did. And when you talk about the most unbreakable records, the ones perceived to be the most unbreakable in sports, Robert, I think Cy Young's win record is absolutely never going to be touched. There is no chance anybody's getting to 500. It's just a different game than when Cy Young was a pitcher. The 56-game hitting streak that Joe DiMaggio had in 1941 seems, or was that 42? Which one? 41. Seems almost impossible to imagine anybody getting to. I don't know about 400. That's kind of not even a record because Ted Williams doesn't have the highest ever. He just was the last one to hit 400, I think. We have anybody get to that, right? NFL records, somebody will break the passing touchdown record. Somebody will break, maybe not rushing records. Though the game has changed a lot, so maybe rushing records are untouchable. That's context, right? That's about, the game has changed in a way that makes it tougher to imagine anybody rushing for a certain number of yards or whatever. But when it comes to Major League Soccer, and here is our leaderboard as it sits. Now, this is from Transfer Market, and they've got Wondo on 169. Maybe they just like the niceness of that number, but I think he's got 171 is what I think he's got. Now, I don't know if it's a 2 in the playoffs that they're not counting at Transfer Market or whatever. But regardless, this is the general lineup, and adjust accordingly. You see that green stripe across where Josef Martínez is? He's the only one currently active in Major League Soccer right now in the top 8.
Yeah.
So Wondo, Kai Kamara, who was active until last year, played with LAFC and did not get brought back and does not have a contract. And this seems to happen to Kai now, who I think he's pushing 40, right? Is he already over 40, Kai Kamara? Because he just wants to keep playing forever, that guy. He's 40 years old. He wants to keep playing forever. We'll see if anybody gives him a contract, give him a chance to creep closer to Wondo. But he's still got so far to go. He's still got 20-plus goals before he's going to catch Wondo. So, and Guy Kamara's not scoring 20 goals in a season, so he's going to need multiple seasons to get there. And at 40, chances are very small. Landon, Jeff Cunningham, Jaime Moreno, Josef Martínez. That 120, I believe, reflects the hat trick he scored against DC yesterday.
Yeah.
He's got 120. Now, he has found a new lease on life in San
Yeah, we
Jose.
talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. He looked sharper in Springer, and he had that dart to him that he had back in the Atlanta United days, which we thought was gone. And it definitely looked like he was the sharpest forward on the field. And so if that Josef Martínez can show up game in, game out like he did, Atlanta United, maybe there's a chance. He's 31. If his body holds up and he stays in the league, there's a chance.
Yes, he's 31. And that's the thing. He had the serious knee injury, which kind of brought to an end his Atlanta period, right? They moved on from him in part because they weren't sure he was going to be the same player after the knee injury. Went to Montreal, scored a handful of goals. Now he's in San Jose. Obviously, getting a hat trick is always going to help. And by the way, I'll address this. JB says, you say the NFL rushing record will never be broken, but we got pretty close last season. You can't ever really say never, even if the chances are minuscule. That's true. But I'm not even talking about this season record. I'm talking the career record, which I believe Emmitt Smith has at 18,000. Frank Gore got fairly close before he retired 5 years ago, and I don't think there's anybody else that's active that's even in, like with Derrick Henry. has 11,000 yards in his career. Emmitt Smith has 18,000. Is Derrick Henry going to get to 18,000 yards in his career? Seems tough to imagine. In this case, the reason it's different in Major League Soccer is because the best players don't want to play in Major League Soccer, not initially, and nobody stays long enough because it's a much more transitory game. The sport is much more, there is no one league anybody wants to go to, and if you are a player who starts scoring a bunch of goals in Major League Soccer, what happens, Rob? What happens, usually?
When what happens? Sorry. I was laughing at Jenny's comment about Barry Sanders retiring and that being
when well, Barry Sanders would have broken the record, but then he retired in his prime. We all know that. Thank you, Detroit people, for showing up. If you score a bunch of goals in Major League Soccer when you're 23, 24, Rob, what happens?
You get a transfer offer from somewhere else that you may or may not want to go to.
You go score your goal somewhere else, and even if you don't. Even if you imagine yourself a lifetime MLS player, lots of guys, it's just not, again, it's so much different in terms of whether guys stay long enough. This is a counting record that depends on longevity in the league. You have to spend 15 years in Major League Soccer to even imagine getting close enough to break Chris Wondolowski's record. And like I said, this is the top 8, and there's one active player on this list. And can you imagine him scoring, again, it's 171, 51 more goals? Can you imagine Josef Martínez between now and the time he retires? 31. How many? If you have a real, at this point in his career, I would say a very good season for Josef Martínez is 12 goals. That's it. Let's call that like a decent average, right? He scored 20 in this league. He's not scoring 20. I don't see him scoring 20 now. Do you, Rob?
I mean, if the Josef Martínez from yesterday, the hat trick scoring Josef Martínez scored. I mean, there's some recency bias there.
DC is bad. DC is bad. DC is bad. They're not going to play DC every week. They're not.
That's true. Okay. Let me finish. I would say, so if that Josef Martínez shows up, with 50 goals behind, 7 years ago, Josef Martínez scored 31 goals in this league. So if he can match that for 2 seasons, he's in that window.
He's not going to do that. But that's okay. Is it possible? And to Davey's point, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Will he do it? I find it very unlikely. He scored 31 goals for Atlanta in 2018. He scored 27 in 2019. You're like, oh, here he goes. Then we had 2020. He gets hurt. He scores 12 goals in 2021. He scores 9 in 2022. Again, we're declining here. There's a diminishing returns. He scored 7 for Miami in 2023. He scored 11 last year for Montreal. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt by saying that maybe he can average 12 because that still represents an uptick from where he's been over the past 4 or 5 seasons. And we're talking about 4 or 5 seasons. I'm not using a small sample size to talk down Josef Martínez. But let's say he scores 12 goals a season and lasts another, if he lasts another 5 seasons in this league, if he can keep getting contracts, if San Jose wants to keep him around for 2 or 3 seasons and or more, and somebody else signs him, he will need 4 1/4 seasons to get to 51 goals.
Not impossible, unlikely, but not impossible. And so I guess the big question is I would just say, just in general, going back to the whole Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky thing, I felt a little weird about it. I was trying to explain it to my family. It's almost like a truth that has been there almost my entire life. Wayne Gretzky's way up here, untouchable, different era. He scored a bazillion goals when the rules were different, this, that, and the other. And Alex Ovechkin has gone by and just done it. Just marched, kept on scoring, and now he's broken it. Now we're in uncharted territories as of this weekend moving forward. He is just going to stretch that record if he stays healthy and playing.
Yes.
And so Wondolowski, I don't think that number is necessarily in Gretzky status as far as it's unimaginable, but there is a lot of factors working to say that because will anyone stay in the league as long as he did that is scoring at that rate?
That is the question.
And another variable, if Josef Martínez has an amazing this year, next year, is there, maybe he gets a call from Saudi or something like that too?
Possible. I doubt it. I think he's probably most comfortable in this league, and he's obviously not going to, at 31, he's not going to level up into a higher level league, which, that I'm not wishing that for him. I'm just saying it's very unlikely. Now, I'm looking at the rest of this list. Who do you think is next on the active goal scoring list in Major League Soccer after Josef Martínez, who has 120 now? Who do you think is next? Any guesses?
Who is the longest So Kai Kamara's obviously he's retired. Zardes is retired. Um, that's a hard one. So long-standing goal scorer. Is it like I almost said a name, but he's been playing for a long time. He scored some goals. This might be way off, but let's just to throw out a name. I'll say Jordan Morris.
Jordan Morris is on 68 goals in his MLS career, according to what I've got here. By the way, he's tied with Henny Mukhtar. Also has 68 goals in roughly 30-something fewer games. No, 40 fewer games than Jordan Morris. Okay, the next active player on this list is Luciano Acosta, who has 75 goals in his MLS career. And it's obviously not an out-and-out goal scorer most of the time. He's done that in 258 games, for example. I mean, you look at Josef Martínez, 114 games, 120 goals. Is that what I saw? Something like that. I mean, Josef Martínez's rate is incredible. It's just really hard to imagine keeping that up as he ages into his 30s, coming off the major knee injury. So
110 and 177 according to Give Me Sport.
Okay, well, either way, he's still a much higher scoring rate than a Luciano Acosta. So Acosta's got a what? What is that? The 150 plus. He's got a 1.5 times what he already has, and that's not going to happen. Teal Bunbury's at 75. He's not doing it. Diego Fagundes is at 73. He's not doing it. Maxi Arudi, I don't think he's active, right? Where's Maxi Arudi playing in soccer these days? Is he on the roster for the Revs? I had no idea Maxi Arudi was on the roster for the Revs. Then Mukhtar, then Morris. What I'm saying is there is not even an active candidate, anywhere close to Josef Martínez. He is the only hope of breaking Wondo's record, at least for the next, 5, 6, 7 years, until somebody young who has a good scoring rate starts to climb the charts. And then you say, well, does he stay or not? And that's where we're at.
I was trying to look for another option of someone who is like scoring at a good rate, but isn't likely to jump ship anytime soon. Do you think the one name that's coming up is Brian White? I mean, he's not as young as I thought he was. 29
years old.
Yeah.
He's 29 years old. He's not going to do it. The only, and I don't think so because he slowed down so dramatically, and obviously now it's a new home, and he's got to work his way there. But Jesús Ferreira he's 24 years old, and he's at 53 goals. He'd have to score a lot. Obviously, he'd have to pick it up over the next couple of seasons to even be in the conversation. Like, he's not even close yet. He's 75th on the all-time list. But he's the only one I can see that's younger than 25, 26 that maybe could be good enough to score enough goals over the next couple of years that he could be put himself in this conversation. But I still don't think that's likely.
We shall see. But Gretzky dethroned. Will Wondo ever be dethroned? We shall see. Thank you for tuning in to today's morning kick around. What's that? He won't? No one will find it?
You and I will die.
Make him a statue?
That you and I will die before the record is broken. That is my bold claim here. I don't think anybody's coming for Wondo's record. I really don't.
Well, we shall see. Morning Kick Around, YouTube. If you haven't already, hit subscribe now. Help get those numbers up. I mean, that opens a lot of doors for us, and be able to grow the show, improve the show, and add more density and color to the American soccer conversation. Follow along on social media. MKickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Write us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com. You can also support us at coffee.com/morningkickaround. There's some bonus segments for those who have donated. There is segments available for you there. Coffee.com/morningkickaround. And there is one more way to listen to the show. You can take us as a podcast. Search your favorite podcast platform for Morning Kick Around, and you can find us there now. A new addition to the Morning Kick Around offerings there. Anything else before we head out into our Monday?
No, not that I can think of. Thank you very much for supporting us. And tell a friend. Tell somebody about Morning Kick Around.
All right, we'll be back Wednesday morning. And until then, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.